So we now turn to another example, and we're going to stay with Kenya. We've seen in the example of Tanzania that a shared identity makes it easier to cooperate, but in Kenya the structure of identities that was built over the years was not just differentiated identities, it was actually worse than that. It became oppositional identities. People, through the narratives of the political competition, started to see other tribes as it were, the enemy. And it became very much worse when the election was contested. The result of the election was contested in 2008, and violence erupted. So we've got a phase before 2008 when there's an oppositional identities between tribes, and a phase post 2008 when those oppositional identities actually intensified. The study we're going to look at is far removed from the political arena. It's one of the most modern settings in Kenya. Kenya has, in economic terms, developed very well through agricultural exports, high-end agricultural exports, high-value stuff. It has a huge business exporting flowers to European markets. A lot of value added. It's a great business. And so we're going to be looking at a flower packing factory. The flowers come in from the fields and they're assembled, sorted, put on a conveyor belt and eventually wrapped up and dispatched onto the plane. This is very new work by Jonas Horst. And what he looked at was, in this factory, there was a system effectively of random rotation of workers to different tasks. And that randomization enabled him to do a properly scientific test. And what he found was quite disturbing, that sometimes just by random assignment you'd get a group of workers from one tribe at the top of the conveyor belt and a group from another tribe at the bottom of the conveyor belt. So these guys at the bottom of the conveyor belt were dependent upon what these guys did. Everybody was on incentive pay. The more you packed, the more you worked, the more you earned. But what he found was that the guys up here, when their tribe was in control and there was another tribe dependent upon them, these guys sabotaged the earnings of the tribe they disliked, even though it cost them money themselves. So they're prepared to sacrifice money themselves in order to lower the well-being of the other tribe. Jonas was doing this work before 2008, and then he went back and redid it after 2008, after that phase of violence. And after 2008, it got worse. In other words, the oppositional identities had increased the value of reducing your enemy's well-being. We've seen a very functional use of identity, building a shared identity. We've also seen a very damaging use of identity, building oppositional identities. In each case, identity is what economists say endogenous. You can change it with appropriate policies. It takes time to change. Nyerera's strategy was a 40-year strategy. But these changes in identity have real effects on behavior. They actually matter.